Episode 2 of Welcome to Peak has just dropped, and it is spectacular. Another satisfying episode. Story's on point, horror's on point. I like the way the story is progressing. I can kind of see where the B plot's gonna end up, maybe. I think we're rewarded for being into Stephen King with this episode. And I may be tripping, but this episode seems to have some elements that might set up not a film Dark Tower thing, but I know there's supposed to be a show Dark Tower in the future, so if they start doing all of Stephen King's shit through like a TV medium, and I guess all the good movies will stay canon to his old multiverse thing, I think that'll be pretty cool. Yeah, let's get into it so I can explain what the hell I'm actually talking about. If you remember what happened in the last episode, which you obviously do, Lily Bainbridge's friends get completely obliterated by a giant mutant baby. Considering that Pennywise doesn't seem to give a fuck about cleaning up after himself, the police is left to investigate, and they come to the conclusion that it's... Damn, I forgot her fucking name. I don't even know her name. Holy shit. It's the black girl's dad. Dang, I know they say her name, but I don't know her name. I forgot. Essentially, they start investigating her dad and shit. And so the episode kind of starts off with a couple of cops staking out their house. I mean, I'm sure they don't expect to find anything specific, but you know, they're just fucking sitting out there watching the nigga. Yeah, a bunch of kids died in your theater, so there's really no one else to point at. Which kind of sets up the dilemma for later on in the episode. Her dad and her grandma are having an argument. The argument's based on whether or not they even should be out there, and you know, essentially dehumanizing them because they didn't do anything. Veronica hears this, that's her name, Veronica. She hears this and she's worried about them taking her dad to jail. From there, we get introduced to the Air Force character's family, live in a nice little white suburban neighborhood, and he sends his kid to the same school the other kids go to. I forgot what it's called. Probably just Derry High or Derry Middle School. It's another kid who kind of like just gets bullied and shit. Nothing too significant right now, but we do learn about the military man. I'm gonna mention that. Or not military, the Air Force. So the military dude, you know, we kind of get more about him. We get some character building. We get we get to meet his family, his son, his wife. Yeah, bro's kind of, he's living it. He's living it. But, yeah, I couldn't have his wife. His wife is annoying as fuck. But, besides that, I think he's shaping up to be a pretty cool character. I'm not gonna lie. So from there, we get to see the other character, Marge, which is Lily Bainbridge's friend. You know, I say friend with air quotations because of what kind of person she is. I want to draw attention to the theme song in the beginning. It's a song called A Smile and a Ribbon, and it's not too complex of a song, but I think it is specifically referencing Marge's character, so much so to the point where I think it's possible that she dies in the next episode. But until that happens, we don't know. Marge hops off the bus and she sees her aspired friend group, and she goes over there to act like a nuisance, and well, I would consider her a nuisance, but for her, she's trying her hardest to fit in. And you know, they have a group leader, and whatever the group leader finds amusing, you know, she'll approve. But sometimes Marge overdoes it, and the group leader has restraint, so she's just like, nigga, cut that shit out. Yeah, she really wants to be part of that group. Not necessarily funny, but it's kind of comedic, because you have Marge who's over here and cares about these shallow-ass things. Meanwhile, she's like, oh, I can get you in with this friend group, Lily. Like, meanwhile, Lily is just having the worst time of her life, just the worst experiences that anyone could possibly experience, watching her friends die. And also being bullied and called crazy because you were sent to Juniper Hill. Yeah, she's kind of getting brutalized. The group leader asked, she's like, hey, I didn't know crazy. Is she still crazy? Blah, blah, blah. And then, because they saw her talking to, what's his name? The black girl. They saw her talking to, Veronica. She's like, oh, wow. Basically, they're trying to make something out of her talking to Hatchet Hank's daughter, essentially. And, you know, I do want to say, aside from, like, the literal racism, they also, it is also the fact that it's easy to just point fingers at her because her dad is a murderer in their eyes. They see how Lily and Veronica are getting along, and they just see a little crazy combo, essentially. And that's just fucking That's the perfect recipe for bully-a-doo, folia bully, the best dish you've ever had. But you do notice that Marge looks over at them and she's kind of curious at that. You know, she's not thinking the same things that the group is thinking. Oh, like, oh, crazy, insert. And then, you know, she's like, hey, Marge, I thought you said you wouldn't create anymore. And for some reason, Marge really wants Lily to be part of that friend group. And it's because, you know, Marge values the wrong thing. So she's looking over at Veronica and Lily have a connection and bond over something. And she feels left out because she thinks they're just being friends, right? Even though they're literally bonding over a traumatic experience. So then we kind of move on to a discussion between Marge and Lily. And Marge kind of expresses this. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna give this little girl an actual dub for her performance. She really sounds like she's convinced that all that matters is getting in with, quote, the patty cakes. She's all like, bruh, my friends are dead, and I don't care about your fucking patty cakes, nigga. Which I want to say, the patty cakes come back into play later, and it's pretty good. It's a pretty good scene. So far, we basically have Marge, and she's like, they care about you. They don't give a fuck about her, Marge. And it's funny that Marge thinks that, because it kind of goes to show that she doesn't have much going on. You know, her friends are kind of a part of a grand plot, and she's just kind of on the side. Kind of, how do I... She serves another purpose, and I feel like it's to kind of contrast the difference. You know, I think Marge represents the outside world, right? She's a character who's, you know, referenced as a friend, but she represents the outside world, whereas our characters are kind of in a bubble, you know what I mean? So it's really funny how Marge is like, oh, we saw you talking to Veronica Grogan. The patty cakes care about you. If they see you talking to Hatchet Hank's daughter, they're going to start thinking things. They don't know you like I do. Dude, the writing is so fucking good in this fucking show. It actually really is. It's just so good. It's Future Pseudo, but I did want to interject. I think all this specifically because she seems like she fits into that loser trope that all the kids kind of fit in, the easily bullied loser. But she seems like she's engaged in that defense mechanism. Like it really feels like her trying to fit in is very connected to survival. The patty cakes don't fucking matter, Marge. Like I said, the patty cakes kind of come back up in a fairly decent way. I think they're probably gonna have more payoff later on, depending on how hard Pennywise wants to go, I guess. Or I guess Pennywise doesn't have to be relevant considering their role in the show. You know, Stephen King type niggas are like, oh, don't you want to see these bully kids getting murdered? From there, Will, which is, dang, bro, I have not been paying attention to these niggas' names. Will, which is the Air Force dude's son, Air Force Hanlon's son. We have Will Hanlon, and he's here on his first day of school. Everyone looks at him, fucking nigger, and kind of goes to, honestly, he doesn't seem like he has too much of a trouble at school. Of course, there's a certain amount of prejudice. Someone throws a stink bomb at him. Just as he goes to take his seat, someone kicks a chair behind him. And obviously that's okay because boys will be boys. And you'll notice Lily looks over with concern because, number one, I think she knows how it feels to be laughed at by an entire class and have everyone's eyes on you like that. There's also the idea that that's just messed up, you know? I think she just simply cares about the idea that that's fucked up, you know? You don't do that. We come back to the Air Force dude, and he's having a conversation. The reason why this conversation is significant is they come to the conclusion that the person who attacked him was a Soviet spy because he had a Makarov. I'm not going to give you too much about that right now, but the Makarov is really important. From there, we see more of Air Force dude's family kind of assimilating. That's kind of what we're seeing. Will is assimilating into white people culture or into white people life, and so is his mom. And she sees some boys getting beat up or beating up another kid, and she tries to stop him, and everyone just looks at her like, oh, ain't no way a nigger is getting involved. especially after someone tells you boys will be boys. That's kind of what people see. You can get your ass completely beat the fuck up. People will say boys will be boys, but she was trying to stand up. She takes it home. She starts talking to her family about it, and they have a discussion. And she kind of is disavowing bullies essentially, but then that kind of engages her in a conversation with her husband, and then Will just immediately goes, "Can we not fight?" Like, they didn't even get that far into the conversation. But honestly, I thought he was kind of tripping at first, but I think it's meant to indicate that where they're going is about to, he knows what conversation they're specifically about to have. My friend said it was kind of a trauma response. I don't think it's that. I think he knows specifically where their conversation was about to go. So he just assumed that they're going to start having an argument, which they end up doing. So essentially, he's just trying to explain to his wife that she needs to be less hot and doing things like stepping in, shit like that. Even though it's wrong, you need to be, essentially, you need to take care of your family. You got to make sure you stay alive for your son and for your husband. And sometimes that means letting things like that happen. And that's kind of his argument. And she's like, "Oh, you wanted to move up here?" And he's like, "Bruh, nobody wants to live with this amount of prejudice." That's kind of what he ends up getting at. They kind of like this conversation. They kind of clash with that idea. I think it's an important conversation to have, at the time, because she wants to live freely, and he kind of wants not to piss off the white man and just stay safe, which, considering what we know about his character, I think it makes a ton of sense for him to say things like that, because I will tell you, it is not a fear thing at all. He's not scared of these things. He just logically understands. He logically deduced that this is how we assimilate. We don't piss people off. We don't bother the white man, essentially. But she's kind of against that, because she sees a little boy get beaten up. She's gonna want to stop that, and I think that's a really good clash of ideals, essentially. And I think, yeah, Will definitely knew where that conversation was going, so he probably was like, "All right, let me get my ass up out of here." But yeah, she is annoying as hell though, because like, despite her being right, and I love how these conversations are written like this, but like, despite her being right, and in a sense, she's still annoying as fuck. She's talking about why are you coming at him like this? Nigga's talking calm as fuck and being illogical as hell. And she's talking about why are you coming at me like this? Like, you can't even have a conversation with bitches like this, bro. Like, oh, whatever, bro. After that, we get our first bit of Pennywise action, and dude, we get another real weird one. Unfortunately, we didn't get any babies shooting out of a pussy this time, but we did get like a pseudo C-section. I think you could probably go and watch the episode for yourself if you really want to watch the horror that bad. I don't want to spoil it for you. It's some pretty good horror. I will mention, I'm pretty sure Pennywise starts using her mom as like a way to like fuck with her, and like he starts getting inside of her head and shit, and like he has this like illusion and shit. And at this moment, we kind of realize, I remember my my homie was mentioning, "Oh yeah, she does not have the shine." Yeah, she don't have the shine. She had the shine, she wouldn't be getting that far into the illusion and damn near dying from it. But maybe she has the shine, a very loose amount of the shine, to the point where she doesn't succumb completely to the illusions, but they can get pretty far and hurt her, maybe, and do maybe a fair bit of damage, but can't kill her necessarily, because she'll notice that she's in an illusion before then. But not sure yet. But I do like where we're going with her, with the black people in the show. But yeah, like I said, I don't spoil the horror. You guys can definitely go watch that on your own, or at least look up the clip or something. It's good horror. From there, we kind of get an introduction to a C plot that was being kind of subtle beforehand. I don't know if this is just the B plot also just fleshing itself out, but I'm gonna just call it the C plot for now. We have another character that we saw in the first episode who was driving the car with the Air Force dude. He's on some super secret mission or whatever. What that exactly entails, I'm not sure, but he snuck off the airbase. He's kind of like getting away with using privileges, maybe a bit too much, because someone tells him a bit later, like, "Hey, like, nigga, you're doing too much, and we can't take those privileges away, so you better be close to what you have those privileges for in the first place." So I think that's kind of all that episode reveals about that specifically. So I guess that'll come back in the next episode, I'm sure. Just to be clear, I'm referring to what he was doing that specific day when he snuck out, because they asked him what he had done that day, and he said he was on a super secret spy mission. I don't mean in regards to the rest of what happens in the episode. In that bar where our super secret C plot is going on, the police chief also comes in, and he's approached by two councilmen, at least one councilman, maybe someone else. I don't know who Dan is, but he's approached and he's told, hey, arrest this nigga. Police chief's like, yo, can't do that. He's got an alibi. I ain't got evidence. This is America. This ain't America, nigga. This Derry. Okay? Do your job or we'll elect someone else. So they're straight up saying, arrest this nigga or we're going to make sure you're out of a job. Motherfuckers always want something to pin on, and he's black, so it's kind of a done deal, right? Like, they don't even want to insinuate that someone else did that shit. They're saying Hank did it, and that's just the end of the story. Fucked up, but it's kind of just how it goes. Our Air Force military guys end up heading back to base, and next thing you know, we're looking at an excavation site. Ooh. What this excavation site is revealed at the end of the episode. So stick around and I'll disclose that to you. It is important. I will say the reason why these native niggas are looking down on them is very I think will be tied to the narrative fairly well. At this dig site, we get an explanation or inferred as to what could be happening here. Our character, or I don't even know who, but Halloran. So Halloran, I think he has The Shining, and whatever they're looking for in these dig sites is probably something that he can sense using his Shining power, because he has special privileges. He's talking about he feels it, and they're talking about he has a gift. So I think the gift that they're referring to is just straight up The Shining. And this nigga has The Shining. And wherever they're looking for is directly connected to whatever his Shining is related to. From here, we see Lily in the cafeteria. And as she is walking through it, she sees Marge sitting with the patty cakes. And she kind of hard diffs Marge with hard right turns on Marge. And she's like, yeah, no. She doesn't want to hang out with Marge and the fucking patty cakes, bro. Let's, be real. And I don't know why Marge wants her to hang out with the patty cake so fucking bad anyway. Like, she's probably a textbook narcissist. I think that's probably what's going on with Marge's character. So Lily ends up sitting alone, and Veronica comes in and has a conversation with her. It's a really good conversation, and it's built up by the tension of the patty cake starting to play patty cake. I'm telling you, it all plays out very, very well. So Veronica and Lily have a conversation, and after the patty cakes see them sitting together, group leader's like, oh my god. Honestly, I don't know why group leader is so concerned about Lily Bainbridge, but yeah, she looks over and she's like, I can't believe they're sitting together still, and I wonder what they're talking about. And Marge says, I bet they're planning another murder. So she'll straight up throw you under the bus whilst also wanting you to see her as a friend. She's just a piece of shit. Fuck Marge, guys. Actually, fuck Marge. Complete asshole. Their conversation, over the patty cake tension is about her not telling the police that she saw a giant baby flying out of the screen. She told them that, hey, I told your dad he wasn't there, but she's saying when you say things like that, it makes it seem like you're not sure what you saw. When you say you don't know what you saw, instead of telling me the same thing you told me, which is a giant monster flew out of the screen, you didn't tell that to the cops. So now they're trying to take my dad to jail. And her problem is, hey, I couldn't really tell them anything else, because the other option was to tell them, yeah, I saw a giant baby flying out of the screen, and next thing you know, they send me back to the loony bin. And I'm going to just tell you guys right now, Lily Bainbridge does not want to go back to the loony bin. She does not want to go back at all. And she makes that very, very fucking clear. So at this point, there's a gap between Lily and Veronica. And the show cuts back to Will. Will's eating lunch in the hallway, and he meets a new buddy who's eating a dry ass calzone, empty ass empanada. I don't even fucking know what the hell this nigga's eating. This shit looked terrible though. It's a new little friend. I'm pretty sure this is another kid that may or may not die later on, but yeah, I'm all for it. We're seeing what we have right now. But yeah, they don't have too much of an important conversation, but he is macking on Marge as she walks by. I'm sure she's probably gonna try to get under that nigga's skin somehow in relation to her status. If being with him affects her status, then she's not gonna want to be with that nigga. That doesn't matter too much. Someone throws a stink bomb at Will. He runs away, but he also runs into like the principal, whatever the fuck her fucking ugly ass is, and she puts him in detention. Obviously, he didn't fucking do it. Gets sent to detention where he meets Veronica. And I'm gonna just tell you right now, this nigga Will has some fucking riz right now. So this nigga said, yo, I love science, because she started grilling this nigga. She's like, I ain't never heard a boy who liked to lie about buck, ring, buck, and rate a buck. And you're like, hey. Science is dripped out. I love science. Take that stink bomb, for example. That stink bomb was made of the same chemicals that rotate around Jupiter. That's what Jupiter's clouds are made of. So when you think about it, I'm like covered in stardust. I was like, oh shit, oh my god. I'm gonna start using that on I'm gonna always go around smelling like sulfur and stink bombs and shit, and then I'm gonna start saying that to people. I'm like, I'm a starseed. I'm a starseed. I'm a starseed. There's some commotion outside, and we see the police escort Lily off of the school premises. We know what that's going to lead to. Veronica gets worried because if they're questioning her again, that means they want more information, meaning that they have another opportunity to snitch on her dad or tell her something different. Especially after you just had an argument with her, tensions are rising. You don't know what she's going to say. At the police station, she basically is threatened, and I kind of do feel bad for the police chief to an extent, because he really doesn't seem like a racist nigga who wants to punish all these people for no reason. I don't even think he thinks Hank did it, but he is a politician to an extent, so I think he definitely values his job more than the lives of these other people, clearly. So he tells her, he's like, yo, I know you didn't do this, or I know you're probably telling the truth, but probably the best thing we could do is to send you to Juniper Hill. But man, I don't want to do that. I don't want to send you to Juniper Hill. So if you can tell me that without a doubt you're unsure that he wasn't there, and of course the answer to that is no, boom, gives the chief probable cause to essentially come and arrest Hank. That has Veronica fucking pissed at Lily Bainbridge. First thing she does is run over to Lily Bainbridge's house and says, fuck you. Well, she doesn't say fuck you, but she's like, what did you say? They arrested my dad. And she's like, bruh, he tricked me, even though no, he didn't trick you. She knew what that meant. She just really did not want to go back to Juniper fucking Hill, bro. Holy. And I understand it to an extent. I'm sure mental asylums back then were pretty fucking bad. Honestly, if Juniper Hill was that bad, it honestly makes me think that there's a pretty good chance that Pennywise had his hooks in her a lot sooner than everybody else. Because the idea that your dad was stuffed in pickle jars and spread throughout Derry is just... that sounds like some Pennywise shit. I'm sorry. I think this episode reaches such a proper climax, and we also get some more horror elements. After, Lily is confronted by Veronica, we cut back to Will's dad talking to the racist, and because they're trying to pin it on the racist and say that, yo, you're the one, you know something about those KGB spies or whatever. And so they're trying to say that he was one of them. And I think even he was trying to take the fall for something. He was trying to take the fall for something, essentially. But it's revealed that he's actually not taking the fall for anything, because he puts a Makarov in front of him, and he essentially goads him in order to see how quickly he could load a Makarov. And he's like, okay, I know you're not there, nigga. I know you weren't there, because the person who did that to me loaded a Makarov within a second. in less than a second. And that is a hard gun, to the point where trained Korean officers cannot load that gun in under a second. But whoever did that, they did it under so quickly. And you can't replicate that. You can't do that. You weren't there, and this is being lied about. So he goes to Dexter's dad, and he's like, "Yo, I don't know what's up, but this nigga didn't do that shit." And Dexter's dad is like, "Yo, yeah, you're right. We're testing you, bro." And he's like, "All right, bro. Y'all testing me, bro? I don't know. I'm about to give up on the white man." He was almost ready to give up on the... Oh, there you go. His name is Hanlon. I'm just calling Hanlon. So he was already ready to give up on the white man. And then he tells him, "Hey, hear me out, bro. The reason why I did this was to test you." "Okay, what are we testing?" "Well, there's that one time you had that injury, right? I just had to see if it was real. See if what's real. Your damaged amygdala." Ooh. And there you guys have it. The alternative to The Shining. Just make a nigga not afraid. Actually fucking peak writing, bro. Peak writing. Because I'm pretty sure we do have someone with The Shining. So it's going to be really fun to see those characters interact. On the one hand, a nigga is using The Shining. On the other hand, a nigga's just looking at illusions. He's like, "What the fuck is this? I'm going to shoot this thing." He's like, "Oh, that's not working. I guess I'll just run because it's logical to run." Yes, Hanlon has a damaged amygdala. I cannot wait to see what they do with this nigga, because how is he going to respond to Pennywise? Because I don't think we're giving him a damaged amygdala not to have him interact with the Toadash beings, right? The Toadash beings, even if it's not Pennywise necessarily. Yeah, but the reason I think this is kind of what this follows up this theme. But before we get to that, we get a pretty decent horror scene. Me and my buddies were joking about it. You know, we were kind of having fun with it. But at the end of the day, I think it's a pretty decently done horror. Lily's kind of just, she's contemplating, she's walking, she ends up going to a store. And I could be tripping, but if you look in the background, we'll notice that someone's paying direct attention to Lily as she comes in. And it kind of looks like Bill Skarsgård. I thought it was Bill Skarsgård at first, but then the more I look at him, I don't think that's him. It could still indicate Pennywise himself. That much is true. I think it's him. I'm not sure if that's Bill Skarsgård. You guys can let me know if that's Bill Skarsgård. I think I'm just having a brain moment right now. Yeah, I guess so. She was sent to the store by her mom to shop alone again. So it's something that she kind of just goes get some groceries. Fair enough. But as she progresses, she realizes that she's kind of, people are whispering into her ear and shit, and like she's kind of being like watched and pursued. And she doesn't necessarily see all the things, but she's like being watched by Pennywise and shit. And she starts seeing pickle jars. And this is when it gets like, oh fuck yeah, this is some good horror, because like it is a grocery store, but the idea that you can't get out of a grocery store and then boom, you see your fucking dad's remains in a bunch of pickle jars in the pickle aisle. Yeah, that's fucking traumatizing, especially if once you remember that it's rumored that her dad was stuffed in pickle jars and spread throughout Derry. So that's specifically meant to that is targeted at her. And it's like, honestly, it's hard to believe that Pennywise himself didn't just fucking do that shit. He's like, oh yeah, I like pickles, I'm gonna eat them later. And like the whole dairy is my cabinet, so I just put them wherever. It's pretty funny. She kind of starts freaking out, which is really bad for her, because she starts just screaming in the middle of a store and throwing pickles on the ground. It's kind of messed up, because the dude who kind of ends up pulling her out of the illusion after she's screaming is like, "Bro, what's wrong with you?" Instead of fucking, "Are you okay?" Obviously, this little fucking lunatic is having himself a fucking moment, nigga. You gotta have a little bit more empathy. The fucking 60s, bro. Everyone was hard as hell. Yeah, we're nearing the end of the episode, where we get a pretty sweet reveal, if you ask me. So we're introduced to some straight military shit. But before I mention that, I do want to draw attention to these baseball jerseys that we see. Past me didn't say it, but I also think it's possible that this could be one of the objects that help them pinpoint the weapon that is about to be mentioned. So these baseball jerseys, I really can't say much about them at all. But I do think they belong to some dead niggas. I think what happened is this might be literal remains of Pennywise, or I'm gonna just say Pennywise instead of a Toadash being. But yeah, I think wherever these jerseys came from had something directly to do with Pennywise. Maybe he had like some junior league team. Maybe he killed a whole team of junior league. Maybe something like that happened. Yeah, like I said, I don't know too much, but I did want to point it out. Dexter's dad, he mentions that, there could be a deal made between Cuba and the Soviets and Russia. Essentially, what they're trying to do is put nukes at Cuba so they can launch them from Cuba and hit pretty much everywhere in the United States. What they're doing now is their only way to prevent that from happening, or perceptually. I didn't mention it before, but this actually is in reference to the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1960s, and this story essentially predates that by like a year. Oh my god, bro. It's kind of peak. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's kind of peak. So they go... He shows them something. This is a DoD crash program, so it shows them like crash sites and shit, like where things have like, I guess, crashed or whatever the fuck, like fallen aircrafts or whatever the fuck. But essentially, he's like, "Oh, you're building a weapon." He's like, "Nah, we're not building a weapon. We're looking a weapon. This weapon, it generates debilitating fear." And, oh my god, you're the perfect person to help us try and retrieve it. Something that was buried a long time ago. Brother, we're about to see some fucking military on Toadash Bing action, nigga. Oh my god, I might be interpreting this wrong, but it genuinely seems like this is where we're going with this nigga's plot. We're about to have some fearless nigga go up against fucking Pennywise, nigga. I have to know what the fuck happens. I have to. In theory, it could kill it. It's scary enough to kill a nigga just by being fearful. Oh my god. For some reason, there's like some awkward tension between the two black guys in the Air Force. I think the fact that he has no fear might be fucking with his shining a little bit. That might be a stretch. Yeah, he shares a glimpse. He's like, "What are we looking for?" It's surrounded by objects. The quote weapon they're looking for is surrounded by objects. Once they find those objects, they can essentially pinpoint the exact location of the weapon, and that's what they're gonna need him. My buddy told me that they're doing the mist. Apparently, this is directly connecting to the mist. So I'm gonna watch the mist and see if that lines up when the next episode drops. But yeah. The shining dude comes and says, "We found something." That's when they start exchanging the glimpse or whatever. But they found something, which then we go out to the dig site. We get the shining dude who says, "Oh, told you, we're close." As they pull out a vehicle with some soldiers in it, and they have a gun, and they're all completely decomposed, and it seems like it's been there for a long fucking time. I'm fucking hyped to see where the fuck it goes. Lily goes back to Juniper Hill. She straight up goes back to Juniper Hill. Obviously, you're screaming in the middle of a grocery store, dropping some pickles on the ground. They send her ass back to the asylum. Really sad story. I think she's about to have some Pennywise torment in that asylum. It's going to be messed up. It's going to be sad. It's going to be fucked up. She seems like a pretty decent character, though, so I hope she doesn't die too soon, or if at all. The shit that we're seeing, on the other hand, with the Air Force, I didn't think I was going to be this intrigued with it. I wonder how we're going to use this weapon in order to combat the Soviets, right? Such a good idea. But, yeah, that's pretty much all I had for the episode. I'm very hyped for this. Very happy. I cannot wait for the second episode, or the third episode. Yeah, they're just doing a really fucking good job. The first two episodes are absolutely knocking this shit out of the park. I hope that it has a satisfying conclusion at the end. I hope that it's going somewhere that is going to make these first two episodes even better. I'm really just hoping it goes up and up, because this show is just fucking amazing, man. It doesn't make sense how fucking good it is so far. It's hard to come across. It's not often that we get a show this good. Honestly, don't have too many complaints about it. Maybe I'll find some later that I'll probably mention. If you made it this far into the video, I hope you're enjoying this shit as much as I do. I think the show is amazing. That's pretty much all I had to say. Peace.